We've arrived at halftime here at Dallastown Area High School, and as we mentioned, we're joined by a special guest here in the broadcast booth here, a former NBA, former MLB star, Mark Hendrickson. I believe just one of 13 players to have done that professionally, joins us in the broadcast booth. Mark, what brings you out here to tonight's game, and welcome to Sports Shooting Stars.
Obviously, anytime I can spend time with you, I'm looking forward to it, but actually my niece plays for Central, so Scarlett Mapes is playing. She's a senior for Central, so we try to come out and support her. And it's always nice to get back to Dallastown.
And you mentioned Scarlett, and we saw her earlier in the game, got some playing time, and she told me she's back for her senior year, came out of retirement.
Yeah, I think it's that thing, you enjoy playing high school sports, and an opportunity for her to play as a senior, it really meant something, so she wanted to come back and play.
Well, we talk about you've played professionally, and you're kind of giving back to the community now. You're a coach now at York Suburban, correct?
Yeah, I'm involved with my daughters. I'd rather coach them than drop them off, so for me it's a good experience, but last time when they were in third grade, I went from the NBA to third grade girls coaching, so it was quite a dramatic change for me, but they've taught me a lot.
And talk about that change from being a player professionally to being a coach now. How different are the two?
I think the biggest thing is understanding where the kids are at, regardless of their age or their, if it's a male or female. It's just understanding, where they're at in their development, what you can teach them that's appropriate for their level. And the biggest thing that we do for our youth program in Suburban is we do a lot of skill work. Most of our practices are individual skill work because that's just something the girls can benefit from, and we spend majority of our practice time on that.
Interesting, and we know all about York Suburban. We had their broadcast Tuesday, one of the better programs here in YIAA with Jess Weaver, and I know you know her quite well.
Yeah, I know Jess well. My daughter plays with her daughter, and she's got a good program. She's got a lot of hands-on in the youth development program, which is good. There's some good programs throughout the county where you can see consistent performance, boys and girls, in the youth programs.
And I imagine that's real important in terms of coaching kids properly, and I think there's a right way and a wrong way with that.
Oh, for sure. I think any kid involved in sports nowadays, you got that challenge with those summer programs where kids are constantly playing, but they're losing some of that fundamental skills that they need to develop in any sport. And I think ultimately, if a kid wants to get to whatever level they can get to, the fundamentals are so important. But kids don't want to do that. They just want to play every weekend, and as a result, sometimes all that playing, they get bad habits.
Interesting stuff, deep stuff. Marcellus, anything from your end here in the broadcast booth? We're joined again by Mark Hendrickson, a former NBA, MLB player, and now a coach here in the greater York area.
Yeah, I was going to ask, number-wise, is it harder to get into the NBA than the Major League? Or, they're both really hard.
I think what you find out, it's interesting because baseball now has kind of shrunk the minor leagues. They've taken care of those players. Before, there were so many teams in the minor leagues that they'd get kids in there and you kind of was survival of the fittest. Now they've kind of regrouped that. But I think as far as professional sports leagues, nobody compares to the NBA. NBA is so forward-thinking. They understand that their product is the players, and so they do everything they can to keep their players on the court. They market them very well, and I think they just overall are so forward-thinking in understanding all the ways to just optimize those players to play at their best.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, great point. And we want to thank Mark Hendrickson for coming in here for our halftime show. A lot of insight, and he was in our broadcast booth a few years ago at York Suburban.
You guys do a great job. This is nice for fans in the area who maybe can't get out to games, get an opportunity to see some girl games that you mix in along with some boy games, because I think what we were talking about earlier, last year there was some phenomenal crowds for girls basketball, which is great to see, because a lot of times, in the past you get mom and dad and that's pretty much it, but it's nice to see the support for both the boys and the girls throughout the county.
Amen to that. And he couldn't have said it any better. And we know York Suburban packed the house last year on their way to a district title, the girls team. So, and I have a feeling there may be more of that coming up with the York Suburban Lady Trojans under Coach Weaver. But again, Mark Hendrickson, thank you for joining us in the broadcast booth, and all the best. We'll be probably catching up to you at some point down the road.
Thank you, buddy. Looking forward to it and love what you're doing.
Thank you. Mark Hendrickson, former MLB, NBA star, in the broadcast booth here at Dallastown. And we're here at halftime, and we'll go to a quick break. You're watching Sports Shooting Stars. We bring the game
to you.
Contact us, sportsshootingstars@gmail.com.